What's good, Homeworthy? My name is Asia Jackson. Welcome to my LA home. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, my name is Asia Jackson. I'm an actress and content creator based in Los Angeles, and we are currently in the Mid-City La Brea area. So the way that I actually found this place was through a former assistant of mine. I told her, the general area that I wanted to live in, the kind of like details that I wanted. I really wanted like a really Spanish style architecture, and she found this for me online, and I took a look at it and I absolutely fell in love. I remember when I first took a tour of this place, I walked in the door and I saw the exposed beams and I was like, yeah, this is it. I need this. I'm not really used to designing for Spanish architecture or even like classic interior design styles, but this house has a lot of those design elements in it. So it was kind of fun getting out of my comfort zone and kind of like, I don't know, trying out different styles. So we are currently in the entryway of my house. I want to point your direction into this beautiful, gorgeous mirror with this little clock. I actually got this from an antique mall in Hawaiian Gardens. My dad's high school friend owns a huge, gigantic antique mall, and when I moved into this space, I thought that some like really traditional and classic elements would fit really, really well in this house. So I went over there and I found a whole bunch of stuff to get, and this beautiful clock was one of them. I also have this little table here. This is kind of my catch-all where I keep my keys and things like that. This little calligraphy piece was actually made when we lived in Japan. I lived in Japan when I was in the 4th grade. One of these Japanese artists, like local artists, came to visit the military base that we were living in, and he was doing like calligraphy for people. So last name Jackson. And when I moved into my house, I was like, Dad, can I have this? And he was like, yeah, sure. I don't know if he's gonna ask for it back, but I have it for now. About a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, I went to the Philippines, and it was really great to see all of my family again. My mom is from Baguio City, Philippines. That is the home of the Igorots, of the Ibaloy people of the Philippines. And it's really nice to just go home and see all my family, see my Lola. She's getting a little bit older, so it's always nice to go and see her. And during this trip, this is actually the first time that I spent an extended amount of time in Manila, which is the capital city of the Philippines. Usually when I go to the Philippines, I land in Manila and I go straight to Baguio to hang out with my family. So it was really nice to be able to explore other parts of the Philippines as well. And I hope that in the future I'm able to, visit different islands. I really want to visit like Cebu, Boracay, Palawan, and, visit the other places of the Philippines. I feel like the Philippines is really known for their beaches, but I've never been to them. My family is, again, from Baguio, which is a very mountainous, coniferous area, and so there's a lot of trees there. There's a lot of mountains, and it's really great for hiking and nature and things like that. It's very cold, and so I've never experienced the Philippines that everyone else has experienced, and I just thought that was really funny. If I could pick one item in this house that kind of like exudes me, it would be this photo of me and my mom that was actually like carved into wood. It was gifted by my cousin from the Philippines. My mom went and visited her, and she came back with it, and I was like shocked that something like this could be done, but it's probably one of my favorite pieces in the house for sure. Moving into the living room, when I was doing the tour, I was so amazed and mesmerized by the exposed beam and how high the ceilings were. It's definitely one of my favorite parts about this room in particular is just, even though it's like really big and spacious, it's still very homey. I really like to add very homey elements to it. I have my couch right here. I have like my little reading chair here. And actually, I have to talk about this coffee table. This is from the same antique mall that I got that mirror from, but I got this for $50. 50. So I thought it was such a steal. So like now I tell everyone when they come into my house, like, yeah, I got this coffee table for $50. So that's definitely one of my favorites in here as well. Every item that I have in this house, I treat it as an item that is supposed to be used for living. So I'm not really particular about things like not being used. Like, you know, some things are aesthetic. You know, this is an antique coffee table, but I use it as a coffee table because that's why it's, you know, in my living room. So I think, and this is just my personal opinion, I think that things in your home should be useful even if they're more of an aesthetic piece. I really like to use things that are very functional. When things are like precious, I still like to use them. I don't know. It's kind of the vibe of this home. I really like everything to be nice looking, but very functional. I'm not very particular about things like that. So this rug I actually found online. I don't remember the specific website that I found it on, but I remember when I was looking for rugs, I was having kind of a difficult time because this is such a large space. I had to look for such a large rug. And what I found is that because a lot of people live in smaller apartments, a lot of places actually don't sell big rugs. So it took me a while to find this rug, but I finally found it, and I thought it was like the perfect color to bring all of these elements together, and it is the perfect size for this space. So it was the perfect find. So this is my little media console right here. I do have a Samsung frame TV, and you have to connect it to a box. So I hid the box in here so that it's like out of sight. One of my favorite parts about this little setup here is this photo of my dad when he was a teenager. He was, I believe, 17 in this photo. He was a black belt equivalent in Filipino Kali and Chinese kickboxing. So this is actually a self-portrait. He took this himself when he was 17 years old, and I thought it was a really cool photo. So I blew it up and put it in my house. And then here I have my Samsung frame TV. I love showing artwork. It rotates like every month or whenever I feel like it, but I think it's just like a really nice way to have a TV in the home that still looks nice. So I really love this. And another thing I love in particular about this TV is that it's not reflective. So I have windows opposite of this TV, and even when the sun comes around, it doesn't, you know, cast any reflections or anything like that. There's no glare, so it's really nice. I really love this TV. I really like the easel of it. I think it just like is really unique, and it looks, I don't know, kind of makes it look like an actual artwork, which I love. There's no overhead lighting in this room, which I kind of prefer because I like using little lights to create like an ambiance in this room. So as you can see, I have like candles, I have other like lamps all around the room. And there is a lot of natural light in this living room, which I really love. These are west-facing windows. This one is north-facing, so we get a really, really nice sunset. We get that afternoon light, which is usually when I film my YouTube videos in that little archway. I really like filming in golden hour. It just gives like a really nice yellow, warm glow, and I just really love like all of the natural light that I have in this space. This is the piece that I was talking about earlier. It's like a photo of me and my mom, and it's kind of like, I don't know how she did it. I don't know if it's like burnt in wood or what it is, but my cousin made this from the Philippines and she wanted to give it to me. I thought that was really, really sweet. So this is definitely one of my favorite pieces in the home. The Philippines is known for a lot of their woodworks, particularly the indigenous people of northern Luzon. So I really like to have this, and I think it was kind of genius of her to have my mom and I in our traditional Igorot attire on wood. Going back to all this talk about like classic and traditional elements, this mirror is also from that same antique mall. These like old antique books are also from the same place. And some of these elements are actually from like TJ Maxx and Home Goods and things like that. It's really fun to go into different stores and kind of try to put everything together. Like I said, this was way out of my comfort zone. I'm usually used to very like modern contemporary styling. So, you know, things with this much like adornment was very, very new to me, and I found it a little difficult to kind of find balance, but I think in the end it worked out really well and fit my own personal style in that way. The parts that I really like about this area of the house is the Spanish tiling here on the fireplace. I actually am not allowed to use the fireplace. My landlord told me not to light it up, but I still like to create a little moment here. So I have these dried flowers. This was actually a birthday gift from a brand. They sent me flowers, but when it dried up, I thought it still looked really beautiful. So I was like, I can probably still use this. So it's kind of just sitting here. And then I have all of these candles here because I can't light up the fire. Sometimes I like to put these and stack these all around, light up the candles and kind of have a faux fire going on in the fireplace. I have a lot of candles in this house, you guys. Like, I will never run out of candles. It's one of my favorite things to buy. I will never run out of candles. I love them so much. I got this at the Rose Bowl flea market at just some like random seller. And I thought it was so cute and I thought it was so perfect for this space. Again, if I was like living in, you know, a modern contemporary apartment, I probably wouldn't have any use for this, but I felt like it fit the space perfectly. This is another piece that I got from that same antique mall. If you guys want to visit it, it's called Gum's Antique Mall. It's in Hawaiian Gardens, California. And this is actually an original piece. It's artist proof. I just found it in one of the sellers' like little area, and I thought it was really cool. Thought it fit this area perfectly. There is a really nice lamp here, but I haven't found the right light bulb for it. So it's kind of just there as decoration. So this little neon lamp here, as you can see, it says "What's good?" That is actually kind of like my catchphrase. So I start all of my YouTube videos with "What's good?" And so when I lived 2 apartments ago, I got this made, and that it was mounted in my office, but when I moved into this space, I couldn't really find a space for it. It's like kind of so out of the style of the home, so it's kind of just sitting here for now. This is what I like to call my selfie station. This is where I take all of my outfit photos. I have it perfectly styled for photos to post on Instagram, so it has a really nice background here. It has really nice lighting because you have light sources coming from both directions, and this is kind of where I take all of my outfit photos. So if you're ever on my Instagram and you've seen this, this is where the magic happens. These are my little bookcases. This is very not aesthetic. This is like a little catch-all, but this is a home, you know what I'm saying? It is lived in, so I have all of my content creator stuff. I have all my tripods and mounts and cables and things like that. Anything that I need like to grab very easily, it's all right here. Doesn't look the best, but it's a home. People live here. These are antiques from France. I got these from Olive Atelier in the Arts District in downtown LA. They have a huge assortment of antique vases and things like that, and I found these. I thought they were beautiful. Totally matched the color palette of the house, so I have these here. And then I recently got into vinyls. This was actually a Christmas gift from my dad. I don't have many. I think most of the ones I have were bought from like Barnes & Noble or Amazon, but to show you one of my favorite albums of all time, it's Michael Jackson, Off the Wall. Disco is one of my favorite genres, so this is like one of my favorite albums of all time. So when I moved into this house, I wanted to figure out like, where can I film all of my YouTube videos? I kind of wanted to have a dedicated area where it all looks the same and it all looks consistent, not only for consistency in style, but also consistency for me. I have ADHD, and so anything that is the most consistent and most routine is what works best for me. So I picked this archway as the filming area because I thought it looked really nice. It looks really striking on camera. I think it really like catches your attention very easily, and I can get a full body, so I can film not only my beauty and my talking head videos, but I can also film my lookbooks and all my fashion videos here. So if you've seen any of my content, you know this archway very well. But to give you context of where it is in my home, it is between the entryway and the living room. I started creating content on YouTube first. I created my first YouTube channel when I was around, I want to say like 20 years old, 2021, and I started initially uploading beauty and fashion videos. But I always had an interest in socio-political ideas and topics, and so you know, as a mixed person, as a Black and Indigenous Filipino person, I've always had an interest in what beauty and fashion meant at the intersection of race, identity, and culture. And I always wanted to bring those elements into my work in some way. You know, growing up as a mixed person, I had a few identity crises in my life, and I didn't have a lot of people that looked like me that were talking about these things when I was growing up. And so I wanted to make sure that, you know, with the content that I created, I wanted to create a space for people to have these conversations and to talk about these things. You know, I've received so many different comments and emails from, you know, other mixed people of similar background as me saying, you know, thank you so much for talking about this, because I didn't have anyone to talk to at home. You know, even with me, like, you know, I'm a mixed person, but neither of my parents are mixed. So they didn't really understand the full extent of like the mixed identity or the experience. And so it was kind of difficult for me to reach out to them and talk to them about things. And by creating community online, I figured, you know, that could be the space for other people. I could give one fashion tip, it would be to really understand your body type or your body shape, or just really understanding your body from the inside and out. I think that when I was trying to find my personal style when I was younger, I was kind of chasing trends, and it was a waste of time, and it was a waste of a lot of money trying to buy into all these trends that ultimately didn't work for me or I didn't feel comfortable in. And so when I really, you know, sat down with myself and figured out what made me comfortable and what I was drawn to, that's kind of how I developed my own personal style. And, you know, now when I go shopping, it's really easy for me to find pieces that I love because I already know what doesn't work for me. So I think, you know, my biggest fashion tip is to really understand your body first to develop your personal style. So this was the living room. Now we're going to go over here to the left into the dining room. There's a lot of natural light all throughout this house. And what's really cool about this lighting situation in here is that these are actually north-facing windows, but it faces a building that's white. So all of the sunlight still gets reflected back into the space, which is really nice. One of my favorite parts about this dining room, of course, is this like really antique looking chandelier, and also the crown molding over here on the wall is also really cool. My landlord is actually an interior designer, so that's why this house has really cool elements to this. I'm actually the first person outside of their family to live in this house. So I was really honored to be chosen for that role, but my landlord and her family bought this house in the 30s, and it's been with them ever since. So I'm really honored to, you know, call this place my home for now. This is another one of my favorite parts of the house, definitely my favorite part of the dining room. These are actually photos of both of my grandparents. So this is my paternal grandfather, this is my maternal grandfather, so this is my dad's father, this is my mother's father. I think my grandpa here was 19 years old. This was right after he joined the army. And then my grandfather here was 15. He was actually on his way to a movie audition in the Philippines when he took this photo. They are no longer with us, so I wanted to, you know, create a space where they could be remembered and always be there with me. And I thought that these were really nice photos of both of them, so I decided to put them here in the dining room. This little guy was actually on sale from like Home Goods. I think I bought this for like 50 bucks. It was actually a really nice find. So I just have some of my glassware in here, anything that I don't want out. I don't really drink alcohol, and be honest with you guys, but all of these were gifted to me, so they're just here. I don't really drink. This is a vintage Italian dining table from the 70s. This was my first big girl purchase. In one of my first apartments, this was like the dining table that I bought, and I was like so excited to buy this because like I moved into my new apartment and oh my gosh, I'm buying this really cool dining table. I will never get, well, I don't think I'll ever get rid of this dining table. Ever since I got it and I was like house hunting for a new apartment or home to live in, if the space couldn't accommodate my dining table, I wouldn't move in there. So every place that I've lived in since then has always had a place for my dining table. So I will never part with you. I love you. And then over here, this is a really cool travertine kind of like side table. This is solid travertine. So it's very, very heavy. It's so heavy, but I got this secondhand. This was a really cool find. And then another piece of artwork that I got from that same antique mall. This is also an original artwork. It's artist proof. I thought it was perfect for this space. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really use this room that often. I only use it when I have friends over or if I have people over, but usually when I just eat like by myself, I'm usually eating in front of the TV in the living room. So this doesn't get as much use as I would like it to, but it's really nice to have when I'm hosting people or I have people over. All right, are you guys ready to see the best room you've ever seen in your entire life? Follow me. So this house is actually a 3-bedroom duplex. So there's 3 bedrooms. There's also a dining room, a tea room, and an office space, which was really nice for me as a content creator to kind of have like my own dedicated space for creating. My favorite room of the house has got to be the tea room. I've never had like a tea room before. It's just like a really nice dedicated space for chilling, for drinking tea. I kind of like to go there in the morning to meditate also. It's just like a really cozy like nook in the house where I'm just able to like turn my brain off, don't take my phone in there, and it's just really cozy in there. This is the tea room. This is my sanctuary. I love this space. I really want you to get the details here. Check out this chandelier. Check out the painting and the molding on the ceiling. Definitely one of my favorite rooms in the house. It is so gorgeous. And then as you can see here, I have these custom curtains. These were actually made by my landlord, and she asked if I wanted them. And I was like, yeah, I do. I would like to have them. So they're just, it just fits perfectly in this room. These chairs over here are actually for the outside. These are like outdoors chairs. In my last apartment, I had these on the balcony, but I felt like they fit really well in this space, so I put them in here. And then I have, you know, my ottoman here. It kind of, I actually found this at, I want to say TJ Maxx, and it was like the perfect color to match everything else in this room. So I was like, yeah, let me get that. And it's just really cozy in here. I have like all of my books over here. So sometimes I like to just grab a book and sit here and, you know, do my thing, read. Another one of my favorite parts about this house is how many built-ins there are. So I absolutely love this built-in here in the tea room. These are actually vases that my mom bought while we were in Japan, and because it kind of fits the color scheme of the house, I was like, can I have these? And she was like, sure. So I have these here. There's more storage down here. Again, there's so much storage in this house, which is really great because I feel like a lot of modern apartments these days don't have any closets, don't have any built-ins, don't have any like storage space. So as a content creator and person that just has a lot of stuff, this was really helpful for me to be able to hide things behind cabinets and things like that. And then I have some of my other books here. And yeah, this is just a really nice space for me to come in here and decompress, read a book. Sometimes I even, bring my laptop in here and do some work. It's one of my favorite spaces. Even though I do have like chairs here, sometimes I like to sit on the floor. I'm Asian, so I love sitting on the floor. I love using the ottoman as like a little table. Sometimes I will eat in here. It's just like my own little sanctuary in here. It's one of my favorite spaces in this home. So this molding on the ceiling was actually original to the house, but according to my landlord, it was a completely different color. I think she said it was pink and purple, which I thought was an interesting choice. So she decided to paint it the color that it currently is right now. And then she also had this chandelier put into here. And I think it was a fantastic choice. I think this kind of like sage green kind of color is really serene and really peaceful. And I guess that's kind of the reason why I chose this space to be like my little cozy nook. It's just really, zen and really peaceful in here. And it's not facing the main road, so it's relatively quiet in here. And I just really love it. So just to give you a little bit of history about this home, this isn't technically a tea room. I just made it into a tea room. This was actually a breakfast room. So I guess in the 30s, people, like families, loved a breakfast room, which was different from the dining room. So this was actually supposed to be a place where, families would eat breakfast together, but it's 2024. I don't know what a breakfast room is. So I made this into a tea room. I think the thing that I'll remember most about this home is how big, spacious, and homey it is. I have hosted so many people at this home. Like I said, it is a 3-bedroom, so I was able to host my mom and my cousins. I have a friend from London who visited. My boyfriend's currently here, and so I think what I'll remember most about this home are the connections that I've made here, the deepening connections, the deepening relationships that I've made with people just by them visiting and me hosting them. All right, we are now walking into the kitchen. This is the most colorful room in this entire house. As you can see, it's very pink. I do have a love-hate relationship with this kitchen, I'm gonna be honest, because pink is my favorite color, but being in a room surrounded by pink, it can sometimes be a bit too much. So it's a love-hate thing, but I do love being in here. One of my favorite parts about this kitchen is the stove/oven. This actually belonged to my landlord's grandmother. Yeah, it's very old. As you can see, it's very used, but it's really nice to have like, I don't know, a piece of history in your kitchen. I don't even know how like any of these things work, but I think it's really cool to see how people used to cook things. I really love seeing old things and how they worked. So personally, I only use this stove. I am too scared to use the oven, to be honest with you guys. I don't know, I'm just afraid that it might explode or something, and this belonged to my landlord's grandmother, so I don't want to like break anything. So I only use the stove, but I really love having this here. One of my favorite parts, again, about this kitchen is that the dishwasher is hidden. So it was painted to be the same color as the rest of the cabinetry. So the dishwasher is in here. There is no microwave in here, so I do have an air fryer right here. This is by Calphalon. I used to have one of those air fryers, like, like the egg looking ones, but I thought it looked too much like an alien incubator of some sort, so I wanted to get a cuter air fryer, so this is the one that I got. To redesign this kitchen, I think I would go for the color palette that's very similar to the tea room. I really love that shade of green. So if I were to like redo this, I would probably do maybe like cream cabinets with like accents of that green color. I think it would really brighten up this space. Like I said, these windows are north facing, so we still get a little bit of reflection from that building that's right next door, but I feel like if cabinets were a little bit brighter, it would really brighten up the space. But I do love this kitchen. I think it's very, very unique, and it kind of shows the personality of my landlord. The living room actually used to be orange. Like all of the walls used to be orange. My landlord is a huge color lover, but her dad was like, if you want to rent out this place, you have to change the color of the walls. So that's why it's white now. But as you can see, she's a really huge color lover. So I think it's really like probably the most unique part of this whole house. So like I mentioned before, I'm the first person outside of my landlord's family to live in this house. So before it was me, my landlord lived here, and she loved to cook. So there's a lot of storage space in here and a lot of built-in. So this is custom cabinetry that she had made. So everything kind of comes out like this. There's so much space for pots and pans, and it makes it really convenient to have all of this stuff here. Like there's just so much storage in here, and I love having all of this to put all my junk in. This is my little rice cooker. This was actually a gift from one of my friends that lived in Canada. She came to visit me, and she knows that I eat a lot of rice, so she brought me a rice cooker. Actually, what I love about this in particular is it's kind of like a personal sized rice cooker. I'm just one person, so I can't cook a lot of rice at one time, or else I have to refrigerate it, and then it'll be like stale and like the rice won't taste good. I'm Asian. I need my rice, you know what I'm saying? So what I like about this one is it's a personal size. You can do like 1 or 2 cups of rice at a time, and you get the perfect serving of rice every single time. And it's pink. It's perfect. Look at her. The general color palette of the house, I was really inspired by the hardwood flooring and of course like the brown on the exposed beams. So I knew that I wanted to do something really earth toned. So I decided to go for kind of like a beige brown kind of green for a little pop of color. I've really been loving green lately. I'm not sure why, as you can see by what I'm wearing, but I think it just brings like a really natural element to an otherwise like very brown home. So I don't know, that's kind of where I took it. All right, so the last room that I'm going to show you guys is the guest bathroom. I love this bathroom. It's very unique. As you can see the tiling here, this was actually made from the original tiling of this bathroom. So, you know, obviously this bathroom was renovated, but my landlord wanted to keep elements of the original house in here. So she had this tiling made up from the old tiles in the house, which I think is really cool. And I don't know, I feel like this is very like 70s. I really love these doors in here. And if you want to check here inside the bathtub, there's like a little dish shelf that looks like a shell. What home means to me is sanctuary. It doesn't have to be a specific place. You know, I'm a military brat, so I've grown up all over the place, and I don't have like a real hometown. I don't have a childhood home or anything, so home has always been the place where I felt most comfortable. I like to say sanctuary because I get to come home and I take my shoes off and I relax and I decompress. So anywhere that I'm able to do that, that's what home means to me. Home is sanctuary to me. Thank you so much for joining me, Homeworthy. I have to go now. I have to go film a video, so I'll catch you guys next time.
Peace!
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.